Women may be traditionally perceived as the weaker gender, yet throughout history, they have been responsible for numerous fatalities. In optimal circumstances, a woman possesses the potential to be as perilous as a serial killer, as resilient as an MMA fighter, and as intellectually sharp as anyone else. In fact, a woman can be equally, if not more, hazardous than an ordinary man. Now, let's examine the 15 most formidable women globally. Let's proceed with this exploration. Elizabeth Bathory. This woman is undeniably an extraordinary character. The appalling acts she committed against young women might induce a strong visceral reaction. Consider this a warning. Elizabeth Bathory, a Hungarian countess and niece of the King of Poland, gained notoriety for her extreme pursuit of beauty. Although it sounds outrageous, she believed that immersing herself in the blood of virgins was the key to eternal youth. Engaging in a murderous spree, she enticed young girls to her castle under the guise of employment, only to exploit and harm them. Shockingly, there are accounts suggesting she even consumed some of her victims, underscoring the extent of her cruelty. Despite her wealth and influence, her atrocious actions could not be overlooked, leading to her apprehension and a life sentence in seclusion. Curiously, the servants who aided her faced the death penalty. Life has its twists. Fredia Gibbs. In the realm of boxing, Fredia Gibbs emerged as a formidable force. Motivated by the bullying she endured during her school years, she channeled her hurt feelings and anger into a successful career as a boxer and kickboxer. Displaying lightning-fast jabs and powerful hooks, Gibbs asserted her dominance in the middleweight and super middleweight classes throughout the 1980s and 1990s. Despite being a mother of two and a police officer, she excelled in her boxing career, once asserting that boxing seemed simpler than her duties in law enforcement, an impressive statement considering she once engaged in a 24-round battle against a formidable opponent. At one point, Gibbs earned the title of the most dangerous woman in the world. Her boxing journey concluded in 1998 with a record of 20 victories, 8 defeats, and 2 draws, solidifying her reputation as a woman who could truly pack a punch. Would you be prepared to face her and withstand an uppercut? La Catrina. Maria Guadalupe Lopez Esquivel, known as La Catrina, gained notoriety as a 21-year-old Mexican cartel leader who had a penchant for violence and a strong interest in fashion. Leading the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, a criminal organization involved in drug trafficking, kidnappings, and other atrocious activities, she rose to prominence. La Catrina became a legendary figure in the criminal underworld, thanks to her extravagant persona characterized by skull makeup and flashy attire. Unfortunately, her reign of terror came to an abrupt end in 2020 when she was fatally shot by the police during a shootout. Despite the bloodshed and devastation inflicted by her cartel under Lacrina's leadership, her passing elicited tributes and fan art, underscoring her enduring influence on Mexican society. Even in death, her distinct style and dramatic flair continued to leave a lasting impression on the world. While it's crucial not to romanticize her criminal actions, there's no denying that she posed a significant and dangerous threat. Lady Death. When Germany invaded Russia in World War II, Lyudmila Pavlichenko took the courageous step to enlist. Initially turned away due to her attractive appearance and petite stature, she caught the attention of the officer in charge with her exceptional marksmanship, leading to her transfer to the 25th Rifle Division. In her first 3 months of operation in Odessa, she achieved an impressive 200 confirmed kills. Unlike her fellow snipers Vasily Satyev and Nikolaichin, who served in Stalingrad, she operated covertly and was never observed. German intelligence eventually uncovered her identity, going so far as to broadcast radio advertisements attempting to entice her to defect in exchange for cash and special treatment. Despite sustaining injuries, including 4 instances of shrapnel wounds and a machine gun bullet, Pavlichenko remained undeterred. Recognizing her invaluable contribution, Stalin personally ordered her evacuation by submarine after her last combat victory to prevent her from falling into German hands. By the time of her injury, she had amassed a total of 309 kills, although unofficial estimates suggest the tally may be as high as 400. Jägertruppen operatives. These women are part of the world's only exclusively female special forces unit, known as Norwegian Jägertruppen or Hunter Troop. They specialize in urban reconnaissance missions. While they undergo training for combat, their primary role involves executing covert operations. Approximately half of their training time is spent alongside male paratroopers, fostering strong competition and a shared sense of purpose. These troops are required to carry their own equipment and undergo comprehensive training in marksmanship, fieldcraft, self-defense, parachuting, and even scuba diving. The recruitment process is rigorous, resulting in a low pass rate for those who make it to become members of this elite unit. Only the most resilient women ultimately earn their wings and join the unit for active duty. Their final training mission involves parachuting into frozen tundra, trekking across extensive stretches of snow and ice, planting explosives on a moored ship without detection, and then detonating the explosives before making a successful escape. Undoubtedly, these women rank among the most formidable and dangerous individuals globally. Melissa Calderon. In 2005, Melissa Calderon formally entered the criminal realm by initially affiliating herself with the Sinaloa cartel. She eventually ascended to the leadership of the Damasco cartel, an offshoot of the Sinaloa cartel. Unfortunately, her first boyfriend fell victim to El Grande, the head of the cartel, leading to Calderon's demotion. In what seemed like a retaliatory move, Calderon seized control of Los Forenza and alongside her new boyfriend, Hector Gomez El Chino, whom she appointed as second in command. She initiated an internal conflict against El Grande. Accused of orchestrating over 150 murders in Mexico over a decade, including numerous violent incidents in the tourist destination of Baja California, Calderon's criminal activities attracted significant attention. In 2005, while about to board a flight, she was apprehended by the police. Subsequently found guilty, she received a prison sentence. Currently incarcerated in a maximum security facility, Calderon expects to spend the remainder of her life behind bars. Griselda Blanco, dubbed the grandmother of cocaine. She was born in 1943 and raised in Swallow. At the tender age of 11, she became involved in kidnapping and is accused of shooting the victim when his affluent family refused to pay the ransom. Later, she left her home and turned to robbing individuals in the field of medicine before immigrating to the US under a fabricated identity. Through the displacement or elimination of her rivals, she earned the title of the godmother of cocaine. As a result, it comes as no surprise that by early 1980s, Blanco had solidified her position as a prominent figure in the Miami drug wars, also known as the Cocaine Cowboy Wars. Emerging as one of the most lethal women, her reputation instilled fear in many. Eventually, the law caught up with her, leading to her arrest at home by DEA in 1985. Aileen Wuornos. Wuornos, originally born as Leo Pittman, emerged as a sociopathic child killer who had spent time in multiple mental institutions before meeting a tragic end in prison. Having developed a negative demeanor, she found herself living on the streets and in motels. Picking up the man who offered her rides, Wuornos claimed she acted in self-defense each time, often alleging attempted sexual harassment. Between 1989 and 1990, she brutally killed at least 7 middle-aged men in Central Florida, using firearms to shoot her victims to death and then robbing them. In 1986, Wuornos entered into a romantic relationship with Terria Moore. When she was finally apprehended in early 1991, Wuornos confessed to the murders. A year later, she admitted that the motive behind the killings was financial gain, contradicting her initial claim of self-defense. Facing the death penalty, Warnos received a lethal injection for her execution and later became the subject of the movie Monster, where Charlize Theron portrayed her. The White Widow. Samantha Luthwaite's husband, Jermaine, perpetrated an unimaginable act in 2005, the London bombing, one of the most heinous atrocities in recent history. Multiple bombs detonated on trains and buses, claiming the lives of 56 people and injuring over 700 others. Initially, when Samantha spoke to the media, she portrayed herself as unaware and expressed shock over her husband's actions. However, this turned out to be a deceptive facade. It was later revealed that Samantha played a significant role in the preparation of the attack. Realizing her deception was exposed, she fled to Kenya with a forged passport before authorities could apprehend her. Since then, she has been notorious as the White Widow in various international agencies including the CIA. MI6, MI5, and Interpol have actively sought her. As of the latest information available, she remains wanted for her involvement in orchestrating multiple attacks, including the infamous Kenya shopping mall attack. There are indications that she might still be in hiding, possibly in Somalia. Maria Liccardi. In Italy, Maria Liccardi was raised as the daughter of a mafia boss. Between 1993 and her arrest in 2001, she ascended to become one of the most influential female bosses in history. Dominating Naples, she earned the moniker La Madrina, translating to godmother in Italian. When her brothers and husband were apprehended, she assumed control of the mafia at home, becoming the family's first female leader. Under her guidance, the mafia in Naples not only endured but also flourished, becoming more organized and powerful. As the godmother, Maria orchestrated a lethal gang conflict, recruiting foot soldiers that resulted in at least 120 fatalities throughout the region. Her notoriety led to her inclusion in Italy's most wanted criminals list, and despite eluding capture for over 2 years, she was eventually located and taken into custody. Amelia Dyer, the baby farmer. This individual epitomizes pure malevolence. To clarify the term baby farmer, these were individuals who took in children from unwanted pregnancies. Despite the supposed obligation to care for these children, this responsibility was seldom fulfilled. Amelia operated her venture by adopting children, collecting fees, and subsequently allowing them to perish from starvation. In a macabre twist, she administered opium syrup to quiet the starving children as they slowly succumbed to death. To cut costs, she expedited the demise of the children. This approach allowed her to adopt more children and boost her income. After receiving a 6-month sentence for neglect, she was released and resumed her horrifying enterprise. Authorities kept a watchful eye on her, and her atrocities were exposed when the discovery of deceased infants in the nearby river prompted an investigation. The unmistakable stench of death led to the revelation of her deeds. Although she faced execution for the murder of only one child, estimates suggest her victims numbered between 200 and 400. The Limping Lady. In the course of World War II, Virginia Hall, also known as the Limping Lady, served as the American spy with the Office of Strategic Services, or OSS, later evolving into the CIA, an institution some argue should be abolished. Following the completion of her studies in Europe, she initially worked as a clerk at the American Embassy in Warsaw. In 1939, she relocated to Paris to join the Special Operations Executive, or SOE, a British spy agency. With the German invasion of France in 1940, Hall fled to London and subsequently enlisted in the OSS. Despite sporting a prosthetic leg due to a hunting accident, Hall operated as an undercover agent in occupied France. There, she established resistance networks, disrupted German operations, and aided downed Allied pilots in finding safety. Recognized as one of the most successful spies of the conflict, she was honored with the United States' highest civilian accolade, the Distinguished Service Cross, in acknowledgement of her significant contributions to the Allied victory. Paige VanZant. Paige VanZant, a UFC strawweight fighter of petite stature, once rendered a soldier unconscious with a light chokehold in front of his peers. Initially poised to become the next face of the UFC, she encountered unknown setbacks, achieving victory in 8 out of her 13 fights, a less than stellar record. However, what made her formidable was her apparent enjoyment of absorbing hits in the octagon. Van Zandt frequently sported a blooded face, resiliently enduring hard blows from opponents while maintaining a smiling demeanor behind her mouth guard. When attacked, she skillfully evaded, countering with elbows and knees until her adversary succumbed. Renowned for her grappling prowess, she displayed remarkable stamina, applying relentless pressure without apparent fatigue. Her versatile career extended to bare-knuckle fighting, and as of the latest information, she had ventured into professional wrestling. Undoubtedly, Van Zandt is not someone you'd want to confront in the ring. Sergeant Leanne Hester. Due to her extraordinary bravery and heroism during battle, Leanne Hester received the Silver Star. In 2005, insurgents ambushed Hester's convoy in Iraq, where she served as a military police officer. Taking command of the situation, Hester inspired her team to retaliate with ferocity and determination. Despite facing superior numbers and firepower, she personally engaged in close-quarters combat with the enemy even after sustaining a wound. Hester led her team effectively, enabling them to repel the assault and safeguard the lives of their comrades. What makes Hester's story remarkable is her departure from the stereotypical image of a war hero. A small-town Kentucky native, she joined the military without prior firearm experience. Nonetheless, she demonstrated true leadership and fierce combat skills in the face of adversity. Hester's narrative attests that, when pushed, she can be a formidable adversary for any terrorist. Irina Gaidamachuk. The notorious figure known as Irina Gaidamachuk holds the grim title of being the worst female serial killer in Russian history. Surprisingly, her gender worked to her advantage, allowing her to take numerous lives over a decade without arousing suspicion. Law enforcement, initially assuming a man was responsible for the deaths, unwittingly allowed her to evade capture for an extended period. The last thing they expected was that the perpetrator was a married woman with 2 children, making her sinister actions even more shocking. Under the moniker of the Krasnodar Monster, Gaidamachuk targeted elderly individuals, first aiding them before ruthlessly murdering them and robbing their possessions. The grim saga began when she assisted a senior citizen with carrying bags, ultimately leading to her entering the victim's apartment, using a vase to commit murder and stealing $20. Gaidamachuk's killing spree escalated, and she developed a chilling addiction to taking lives. Armed with a hammer, she ambushed and murdered 17 people while wandering the streets. Her reign of terror went undetected until 2010, when a survivor emerged, leading to her prompt arrest. Gaidamachuk was sentenced to a 20-year prison term, where she remains incarcerated to this day. During court proceedings, her disturbing tendency to smile further underscored the gravity of her crimes. If you like this video, click the next one shown on the screen. I'm sure you'll like it. Thanks for watching.